All right. So, are you one of those parents who feel like autism took over your life and you weren't prepared for it? This topic keeps coming up in so many of the autism groups that I'm in. What do I mean? There are so many families, so many parents who are like, I did not sign up for this autismness as a parent. I didn't sign up for it. I've heard parents say, you know what? I want to be able to have another baby, but I'm afraid if I do, the next baby will have autism, especially for the families that have multiple children with autism. And people feel like it has overcome them, their lives, their households. It has changed who they are. It has interfered with their marriage, their relationships. It's changed everything. So today we're going to talk a little bit about it, okay? Autism took over our lives and no one prepared me. So I'd like to first start with the fact that autism didn't take over your life. It didn't. Teray, yes, it did. How can you say that? It didn't take over your life. Autism changed how you parent, and you don't like it. I'm not saying you should like it. I'm not saying, listen, if you've watched my videos before, you already heard me say that no parent wants to hear that their child has autism. Nobody's looking forward to that diagnosis. Not one person, not one parent. Okay? And parents are out here with their toddlers and they're watching for the autism symptoms, praying that their child doesn't have autism. So, no, of course, nobody's going to like it. Of course. But it didn't take over your life. How can you say that, Teray? I'm glad you asked. The issue is that you're disappointed that you can't parent the way you want to. We all were, I was going to say we all had an idea of how we were going to parent, but that's not just what it was. We were all given an idea of how we should parent. In our younger years, before we had children, we watched movies and television. We even watched cartoons of how we should parent, of what happens when you get married and you buy the house and the white picket fence, and we see shows on TV, the Brady Bunch and the happy lives and the families and the children and how the parents respond to the children. We were sold an idea of how to parent, okay? For many of us, we parent the way our parents parented us, or if you didn't like the way your parents parented us, you thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it like this instead. And you have, for wherever you got it from, you have an idea of how you wanted to parent. You had it before you became a parent. And if you're like a lot of people, you develop your idea and you'll voice those opinions about your idea on parenting on others when they are parenting their kids before you even become a parent. So what happens is you're single, you didn't have your kids yet, but you look at other people and you're like, see, if I was their mom, I wouldn't let those kids, blah, 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 right? Because we all have an idea of how to parent, right? And so what happened was autism, or you're disappointed because your real life parenting scenario does not meet the idea that you had in your mind. That's what's happening. You have an expectation on how parenting should go, and this reality is not meeting your expectation. And so you're frustrated by it, and it feels overwhelming. Well, autism parenting can be overwhelming anyway. What else? You're frustrated that your parenting strategies from when you were growing up don't work on your child with autism. So the thing is that for those of you who've been watching my videos, for those of you who know me, you know I have two sons. My firstborn son does not have autism. And some, not all, of the parenting strategies that my parents used on me worked with that first kid. Okay? My son comes over to me, he asks me a question, or I tell him to do something, and he says, "Well, why?" And I'm like, "Because I said so." Hot dog. Just like my parents used to tell me. Right? I don't have to answer you, sir. I'm the parent. I don't owe you an explanation. Right? I wasn't explained everything when I was a kid. I don't owe you an explanation, right? That works. If I tell you to do something, you do what you're told. Okay? You try that strategy on your child with autism, it doesn't work. Right? And so it's frustrating. And so now you feel like it's taking over your life because you're trying to parent the only way you know how. And whenever you tell your child with autism, when you take your clothes off, stop throwing clothes all over the place. Pick those up and put it away. And your child with autism doesn't respond the same way. It's frustrating. It's not working. It's frustrating. What else? You're still grieving the loss of what you thought parenting should look like in your head. So you're still grieving that. You know what I mean? If you lose a loved one, you grieve for quite some time, right? Especially someone really close to you. After a while, you still miss them, but you don't grieve the same. But if you're still grieving the loss of what you thought parenting should look like, autism parents are grieving that loss like it's new every day for years. Every single day, year after year after year, when they wake up in the morning, they're reminded that they cannot parent this child the same way they can parent other children, the same way people parent neurotypical children, the same way the same in the way that you have the idea of parenting in your mind every day. And you grieve that every day. It doesn't get easier. Your child might be 15. And the reason why you're still grieving it is because as your child gets older, their behaviors get more intense a lot of times if you don't shift your parenting. And so it's just more and more frustrating. Another reason is because a guilty part of you resents your child because if you knew they would have been autistic before you got pregnant, you would have or could have chosen not to have that baby. I'm sorry, did I get a little too deep? There are parents who are like, if I had known this child would be autistic, I wouldn't have had a baby. Because this is not the way I wanted to parent my child. This is real. And this is why it feels like autism took over. These people feel overwhelmed by being an autism parent. Because they feel like this is not the life that I wanted to live. This just got real deep, didn't it? Right, because this is, at this point, it's not about so much about the child. It's about what you're feeling on the inside. Earlier today, I read a post in one of the groups that I'm in. It was an anonymous post from a parent who said, I feel like taking the life of myself and my kids because she feels like autism took over her life. This is why autism parents commit suicide. Isn't that terrible? The reason why I'm bringing up this topic is because it starts with understanding what's going on in here. If autism parents understand that it's not the autism that's the problem, hear me out. Because when I say that, I can sense that some of you, it is the autism because autism, the autism is not overwhelming you. Your thoughts about the autism are overwhelming you. Got it? When you understand your ideas and your perspective towards parenting and how you didn't really fully make the shift and accept it, then it can feel overwhelming. So I want you to understand, autism did not take over your life. Autism changed how you parent. So when you accept that you can't hang on to your parenting expectation anymore, I mean, really take hold of that understanding. Change your idea of how you should parent. Choose to no longer be disappointed for not being able to parent your child in the way that you want to. Because parenting isn't about you anyway. It's about your child. So with the example that I gave earlier, whenever my son asks me a question and I say, or I tell him something and he says, why? And I say, because I said so. That might make me feel better, or maybe because I don't feel like answering the question, or maybe I don't know the answer, or, don't question me, son. That's not even a good answer to tell a child. If he's asking me a question, it's about his curiosity. This isn't about me at all. And whether or not I should answer him, and I'll tell you if I want to tell you, that's ego. Parenting isn't about me. Parenting isn't about how my parents parented me. My son needs information, and so I owe it to him to give it to him. So how about let's scrap this idea about how we used to be parented, or our ideas, or what the television taught us, or what other parents are doing. What does my child need? Because ultimately, as a parent, I still have a job to do, to parent this child to the best of my ability. And the things that I don't know about this child, I need to learn so that they can get the best parenting they deserve. It's not their fault they have autism. Okay. So that's all I have. Make parenting about your child and not about you. Okay. And the questions, the answers that you seek for the questions that you have, find the answers. This is not about blame. The school isn't doing their job. The therapist isn't doing their job. But you can do your job. You don't have control over what they're doing. Raising them is your job. Okay? So, thanks for watching. If you need any more information on me, you can go to TerayWard.com. I'll drop the link in the chat, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.